The night after Blackroot Hollow offers no real comfort. The fire is small, the ground is wet. The cold climbs slowly into bone and sits there. Beyond the trees, wolves call to one another in the dark. Not one voice but many, spread wide, as if testing the edges of the camp with sound alone. Subash takes first watch. He sits on a stone by the fire, sharpening steel, mending what he can, listening harder than he lets on. The forest gives him nothing useful. No charge through the brush. No eyes in the dark. Only the sound of damp wood settling in the fire and the distant promise of teeth. When his watch is done, he wakes Nibs and lies down in the mud and cold. But sleep comes badly. His body is stiff. His shoulder aches. The earth below him feels less like rest and more like waiting. Nibs keeps the second watch. He pokes the fire, plays with burning twigs, half alert, half drifting, until something in the distance catches his eye. A blue flash. Brief, sharp, not lightning. Too clean for lightning. Too deliberate. He wakes Subash just enough to tell him. Magic, he says, far off, not close enough to be danger yet. Subash tells him to keep watch and let him sleep. Morning comes grey and cold. Dew settles on everything. Their clothes still carry the stink of the cave. Before they move, they wash at the water, throwing cold handfuls across face and neck, as if that can strip Blackroot Hollow from the skin. Subash checks the ground around the camp and finds what the night left behind. Fresh tracks. Not animal. Too careful. Too quiet. Perhaps goblins. They came close. Close enough to see the fire. Close enough to know they were there. Then the road begins. They turn north, toward the edge of Duskwood, toward the Cinderholt and Darlin. The forest changes as they walk. The trees thin in places, then crowd back in. Birdsong carries for a while, then stops all at once. Nibs climbs a tree to look ahead and sees movement, but too far to judge clearly. Subash checks the spoor below and finds claw marks, not the sign of men, not horses, not anything that belongs on a village road. They continue with more caution than comfort. Subash in front, Nibs offset behind him. The sound comes from the brush before the beasts do. A sharp animal cry. Then two shapes break from the green. Low, fast, hard-bodied things with narrow skulls and long killing claws. Fuji raptors, village talk given flesh. Nibs moves first, but not into the fight. He slips upward onto a rough outcrop, above the path, out of reach. From there he watches, measures, and then, charcoal in hand, he starts to draw. Fast, precise, as if the creatures matter more on paper than in the moment. Subash sees it, doesn't understand it, doesn't wait for it. He moves before thought can settle, before the hesitation turns fatal. He has sharpened the sword in the night and now means to use it. He rushes one head on, forcing it back with sheer violence, then drives the blade up through it in a savage rising stroke. The creature opens from throat to skull. Blood bursts blue-black across leaves and stone. It dies at once. The second one comes from behind. It hits Subash hard, jaws locking into shoulder and upper arm, dragging pain through him in a hot line. He does not fall. Nibs throws from range, his dagger punching through the beast's face, through nose and into bone. But it still comes on, shrieking and twisting. Subash turns on it with all the bad sleep, the cave rot, the wolf night and the ache in his body behind the blow. He drives the sword down through its back, between the shoulders, and pins it into the earth. The body jerks once and collapses. The last of them flees. The road belongs to them again. They do not waste the kill. Teeth are taken. Claws are cut free where they can be used later, perhaps not yet as weapons, but as something worth carrying to the right hands. The rest stays for the crows. They move on. Mist rolls low through the land ahead, white and thin at first, then thick enough to swallow direction. In it, the world shrinks. Paths vanish, sound bends. By the time they come back out of it, they are no longer certain where they stand. There they meet a young man named Tams, nervous and hurried, a man already half-turned to run before the conversation begins. He mentions orcs and goblins somewhere ahead, but gives little else before slipping away. The encounter leaves more questions than answers. They correct course and push on. The land opens. The trees begin to fall back. Underfoot lies a strange dusting of ash, thin and dark on the earth. The air smells of wet metal, as though something hot once stood here and only recently cooled. Ahead, rising from dark stone, stands the Cinderholt, old, sharp, black against the day. A thin line of smoke drifts above it, and now and then the sky near its height flickers blue. Not weather. Magic. At the edge of the approach, they spot two goblins watching the tower from cover. Not charging, not hunting. Watching. This time Steel waits. Nibs and Subash try words instead. The goblins are skittish, evasive, all sharp eyes and half-truths. They say little, admit less, and retreat without violence. The tower is noted. The path is known. That is enough. Between the party and the Cinderholt runs hard, deep water. Too fast to wade, too deep to trust. Subash takes the lead. He pulls a grappling hook from his pack, walls the distance, and sends it across. It catches. He hauls the rope tight between the trees and tests it once, then commits. Nibs goes first, light, quick, almost playful, slipping across the line above the rushing water. Then Subash follows. Halfway through, something gives. The line shifts, slack for a heartbeat too long. He drops, slams into stone, water crashing over him as he fights to keep his grip. He hauls himself back up, soaked, bruised, furious, but alive. By the time he reaches the far side, he's soaked and in no mood for elegance. He pounds on the tower door and bellows for Izzoof. The door opens a crack with a click. Cold air rolls out, carrying the scent of herbs, old paper, dust, and the sharper edge of worked magic. Inside, the lower chamber is narrow and strange. A stair curls up. Above, the air is warmer. Scrolls and bundles crowd the room. A blue flame burns in a small metal bowl. And there stands the half-blood mage, ash on his fingers, eyes bright with something that hasn't fully let go of him yet. He is glad to see them. More glad still when they hand over the sealed package. The messenger, they tell him, is dead. Blackroot Hollow is worse than rumour. Izzoof does not deny it. He says the package must still reach Stillhill. It is for Brindle Mossfoot, a name that means nothing to Nibs. Before any new road is taken, he tends to them. A hand on the shoulder, warmth through torn flesh, pain drawn off like water from cloth. He feeds them, gives them oil, rations, small practical mercies. Then he asks for their weapons. He drags his fingers along the steel, murmuring in a tongue older than the road itself. The words come low and heavy, spoken from deep in the chest, each one deliberate. Subash's sword darkens along the edge, taking on a black, onyx-like sheen. Nibs's dagger receives the same grim blessing. For a little while, the steel will bite harder. Gold changes hands. The tower feels almost safe. Almost. Evening settles around the Cinderholt. They eat. They breathe. They begin, perhaps, to believe they have made it somewhere beyond the reach of claws and mud and bad luck. Then a voice carries from outside, loud, demanding, "Wizard, come out, Izzoof!" And just like that, peace is over. Whatever waits outside came prepared.